Hi, Trey.
Hey.
Hi. I read somewhere that, that you were pretty shy when you were young, and
Yeah.
that you didn't sing at an early age.
No, I didn't sing at an early age. I wasn't really shy though. My personality was never shy. I think somewhere it got mixed up. Uh, it was more so, singing was far-fetched. It was something that was so far out, something that was such a big dream.
How come?
That like it's everybody wants to be a star, And and it's funny having this conversation now because I talk to people about that, about not giving up, about not allowing the how massive defeat is to take you out of that mindset. Because had I allowed myself to keep thinking that way, I would not be here.
What was a turning point for you?
I always had a lot of confidence in myself, and it was basically because of where I was from. I was like, man, nobody ever makes it out of here. You know what I mean? Like nobody ever becomes a star. Nobody ever people very rarely go to college. So I met a guy named Troy Taylor who actually was the real deal. And when you're trying to make music, you meet so many fakes. You meet this producer guy that can do this for you, this guy that can do this, that says he can do this and that. And after being led down the wrong road so many times, just staying true to it, I had met Troy Taylor by the grace of God, and he believed in me. And he, at the time, when I met him, he had worked with Tyrese, he had written Sweet Lady, he was on Boyz II Men's first 2 huge albums. He had worked with so many people, man, like phenomenal R&B artists. And for him to say that I had something special was special to me. And that for me meant to never let it go.
Because I think, you met him in 2000, right?
I actually met him, was it 2000? I was 15.
Talent show.
I was 15 years old. Yeah, 2000.
Where did you meet him?
I met him actually at his house. Like my mother's ex-husband went to school, and this is a crazy story. My mother's ex-husband went to high school with his partner, who by the time I graduated high school was no longer his partner. So his partner was more so business, and he was creative. So my stepfather at the time took me to the studio in New York City, big lavish studio, and I sing for this guy, big guy, business guy. He's like, okay, we'll take him to Troy. So in Troy, we go to Troy's house, and he has a studio in the basement as well. It's like he's the total opposite. Like he's a smaller guy, all smiles, plaques all around the wall, but very humble. And he asked me to sing, and you could tell that he was the creative guy. He said, what I noticed is that you stayed in key the whole time. And I was 15 years old, so he said you had a verse, you had a chorus, you had another verse, and you had a bridge. And then he asked me, he said, how do you hear the song? Do you know what the song would sound like, what the music would sound like? I was like, yeah, it would sound something like that. That's not the same drum pattern, but it was a process of him breaking my mind down to see where I was as far as raw talent was concerned. And he didn't tell me then, but he told my mother, which I found out years later, is that whatever it was, I had it. And I've been working with him ever since.
What song did you do?
I wrote a song entitled All the Things I Do. And my mother and Troy, they actually they found that song recently. I haven't had a chance to hear it, but I'm excited to hear that. Because what's so crazy thinking back on that? Like, it was on a CD. And when I got back home to my mom's house, she was living in Baltimore at the time, and I was living in Virginia. I listened to the song so many times. And I kept thinking to myself, in the most innocent of ways, this could be on the radio. Like, this is good, like, you know. And it was amazing to me, just the process of making music. It was the first song I had ever written. It was it took Troy about what I remember to be about 15 minutes to make the track, but in all honesty, it probably was like 30 or 45. But I was so amazed. I was like, wow, he just did all that: piano, bass line, bridge, progressions. And then it took us about, he taught me how to record, like how to change tones in my voice, how to harmonize here, how to be stronger here. And it took about 3 hours to record like this 3-minute song. And the whole way that it happened was so magical to me. I knew at that moment, because all before then I thought I wanted to be a singer, and I wasn't sure. It wasn't positive in my mind. There were still thoughts of college and maybe having a different career, not knowing what that might be. But after that first song, listening to it over and over and over again, I never wanted to do anything else.